September 27, 1986. The city of Cleveland awoke to a sense of anticipation that pulsed through its streets. It was a day that would be etched into the city's memory, a day when the ordinary would give way to the extraordinary. Cleveland was ready to make history. People from every neighborhood, every walk of life, streamed into downtown, drawn by the promise of something spectacular. News headlines buzzed. Cleveland reaches for the sky. The city's ambition was front-page news, and excitement was contagious. A world record was about to be shattered. Volunteers and organizers worked tirelessly, their hands moving quickly as they prepared for the moment that would put Cleveland in the global spotlight. In the heart of the city, a massive net bulged with nearly 1.5 million helium balloons, a vibrant symbol of hope, unity, and the city's determination to rise above its struggles. Thousands gathered in public square, eyes wide with anticipation, hearts pounding as they waited for the signal. The air was electric, filled with laughter, chatter, and the sense that something magical was about to happen. Children pointed, adults cheered. This was Cleveland's moment to shine. For many, it was a chance to believe in the impossible, to witness a dream take flight. Balloonfest '86 was more than a fundraiser. It was a declaration that the city was back, that hope could be reborn even in the face of adversity. The event brought people together, united by a shared vision and a collective spirit. But just miles away, Lake Erie's waters churned under a brewing storm. The wind picked up, and dark clouds gathered, hinting at trouble on the horizon. Two fishermen, Raymond Broderick and Bernard Sulzer, battled rough waves, unaware their fate would soon intertwine with the city's celebration. As they navigated the unpredictable waters, the city's joy and their struggle were on a collision course. As Cleveland prepared to fill the sky with color, nature was preparing its own spectacle. The contrast between human hope and nature's unpredictability was stark. The city's dreams soared, but a collision of hope and reality was imminent. The sky, once a canvas for celebration, was now a stage for an unfolding drama. The sky was about to be filled with more than just balloons. In that moment, Cleveland stood on the brink, its dreams and destiny suspended in the air, waiting to see what would come next. In the mid-'80s, Cleveland was desperate to shed its mistake on the lake image. Balloonfest '86 was the United Way's bold plan, set a world record for the largest mass balloon release. Anaheim, California, held the record, but Cleveland aimed to obliterate it with 1.5 million balloons. Each balloon represented a donation, a piece of hope from the community. Organizers envisioned a sky filled with color, a visual metaphor for the city's resurgence. The event was a calculated gamble. Unite the city, raise money, and rewrite Cleveland's story. News cameras would capture a new image, one of pride, not ridicule. For a city hungry for a win, Balloonfest promised a moment of pure, shared joy. It was more than latex and helium, it was Cleveland's shot at redemption. The city was ready to rise. Pulling off Balloonfest was a logistical feat. In Public Square, a custom-built net, 250 by 150 feet, 3 stories high, waited to be filled. Over 2,500 volunteers, mostly students, worked in shifts, inflating and tying off balloons for days. The air buzzed with the hiss of helium and the energy of a city united. Balloons were made of biodegradable latex, a nod to environmental concerns. Helium was piped in, stations set up, every detail meticulously planned. The net swelled, a living mountain of color. Onlookers watched as the count climbed, anticipation building. The stage was set. Cleveland was ready for its close-up. The world was watching. As the day of the event arrived, excitement buzzed through the city, but behind the scenes, organizers grew increasingly anxious. The weather was becoming unpredictable, and every glance at the sky or the latest forecast brought new worries. Volunteers, who had spent weeks preparing, now watched the horizon with concern, their enthusiasm dampened by the looming threat overhead. A powerful cold front was moving in fast, threatening to bring heavy rain and shifting winds, conditions that could spell disaster for a massive balloon launch. The radar showed a wall of clouds bearing down on Cleveland, and the organizers knew that even a slight change in wind direction could send thousands of balloons off course. Rain-soaked balloons would lose their precious lift, sagging and falling before they could even rise. Worse, unpredictable gusts could scatter the balloons in every direction, making it impossible to control where they'd go. The risk of chaos was growing by the minute, and the team felt the weight of responsibility for what might happen next. Meanwhile, out on the churning waters of Lake Erie, 2 fishermen, Broderick and Sulzer, were fighting their own battle. Their small boat was tossed by rising waves, the wind howling around them as the storm approached. What began as a routine trip had turned into a struggle for survival. When the fishermen failed to return, the Coast Guard was quickly alerted. Rescue teams sprang into action, launching boats and scanning the lake for any sign of the missing men. Every minute counted as the weather worsened, making the search more dangerous and urgent. Search crews faced brutal conditions: thick fog, pounding rain, and churning water that made visibility almost zero. The lake, usually a place of recreation, had become a scene of crisis. The rescuers knew they were racing against time and against the elements. Back in Public Square, the event organizers faced an agonizing dilemma. Should they delay the launch and risk losing the massive crowd that had gathered, or go ahead and gamble with the unpredictable weather? The pressure was immense, with thousands of eyes on them, and the city's reputation at stake. In the end, they made a bold decision: launch early, hoping to beat the storm. Volunteers rushed to release the balloons, their movements hurried and tense as dark clouds loomed overhead. The sky filled with color, but uncertainty hung in the air. The decision was made under intense pressure, with little time to weigh the consequences. No one could predict what would happen next, but the organizers knew they had crossed a point of no return. As the city prepared to celebrate what was meant to be a joyful spectacle, a very real crisis was unfolding just miles away on the lake. The contrast between celebration and danger was stark. Two stories, one of hope and anticipation, the other of fear and uncertainty, were about to collide. The countdown to a historic moment had begun, but so had a race against disaster. The sky itself seemed to hold its breath, torn between celebration and catastrophe. Fate, like the weather, was unpredictable. Cleveland was about to make history, for better or for worse. The world would soon see the outcome of choices made under pressure, as hope and danger converged in a single, unforgettable moment. At 1:50 p.m., the order was given: release the balloons. Cheers erupted as the net was pulled away, unleashing a tidal wave of color. The sky above Public Square vanished beneath a roaring, multicolored column. For a moment, it was pure magic, a city's dreams made visible. News cameras rolled, Guinness confirmed the record, and Cleveland basked in triumph. The balloons climbed, forming a vibrant canopy over the skyline. The city's hopes soared, united in awe. It was the perfect picture, the perfect moment. But moments are fleeting. As the balloons drifted east, the storm loomed closer. The spectacle was breathtaking, but the weather was about to change everything. The city held its breath, unaware of what was coming. The dream was airborne. The reckoning was near. The ascent was glorious, a breathtaking sight as thousands of vibrant balloons soared upward, painting the sky with color and hope. For a brief moment, it felt as if the city's dreams were truly taking flight, carried aloft by the wind and the collective spirit of everyone watching below. But that moment of wonder was short-lived. Suddenly, a cold front swept in, and the temperature plummeted. The sharp drop caused the helium inside the balloons to contract rapidly, robbing them of their buoyancy. As if the cold wasn't enough, rain began to fall, and the air grew thick with humidity. The moisture clung to the balloons, making them heavier and heavier with every passing second. Instead of continuing their upward journey, the mass of balloons slowed, then stalled, suspended awkwardly in the air before beginning their unexpected descent. What had started as a symbol of hope and celebration quickly transformed into a downpour of latex, as balloons rained down over the city in a surreal, almost dreamlike cascade. Balloons blanketed the city, covering streets, piling up on rooftops, and filling parks. The joyful spectacle had turned into a scene of chaos and confusion. The plan had always counted on the balloons rising high into the atmosphere, eventually popping and disappearing from sight. No one had anticipated that they would return so quickly, falling back to Earth before the celebration had even ended. What was meant to be a spectacle for the ages became a nuisance, then a genuine problem, as balloons clogged intersections, blocked drains, and disrupted daily life. The city was left littered with the remains of its own ambition, colorful fragments scattered across the urban landscape, a stark reminder of how quickly dreams can unravel. The dream had deflated, both literally and figuratively, leaving behind only disappointment and a mess to clean up. Organizers watched in disbelief as their carefully crafted vision collapsed before their eyes, the excitement replaced by shock and regret. The weather, once a neutral backdrop, had become the villain of the story, turning triumph into trouble. in a matter of minutes. Cleveland's much-anticipated comeback was now reduced to a massive cleanup effort as city workers scrambled to restore order. The sky's gift to the city was not the spectacle of hope everyone had imagined, but a million pieces of rubber drifting down, a sobering lesson in the unpredictability of dreams. Chaos followed the colorful descent. Burke Lakefront Airport shut down a runway, littered with balloons, a hazard for planes. Drivers faced a blizzard of latex causing accidents and gridlock. Roads became slick, commutes dangerous. In rural areas, livestock panicked. Horses were injured by the sudden invasion of balloons. The city's celebration became a region-wide nuisance. Balloons clogged storm drains, floated in waterways, and littered parks for days. The biodegradable latex proved stubbornly persistent. What was meant to unite the city now disrupted daily life. The legacy was not pride, but pollution and frustration. Cleveland had made a statement, just not the one it intended. The cost of ambition was everywhere. The most tragic impact unfolded on Lake Erie. The Coast Guard's search for the missing fishermen became impossible as balloons blanketed the water. From above, a human head looked just like a floating balloon. Rescuers were overwhelmed by false targets, forced to suspend the search. Every lost minute mattered. The city's spectacle had become an obstacle to saving lives. Days later, the fishermen's bodies washed ashore. The event meant to lift spirits had, instead, hindered hope. The cost was heartbreakingly real. In the aftermath, pride turned to regret. Media coverage focused on chaos, accidents, and loss, not triumph. Lawsuits followed, and the United Way's fundraising was overshadowed by tragedy. Environmental fallout drew criticism as latex littered land and water, even reaching Canada. Guinness World Records retired the category, recognizing the dangers. Cleveland's record would stand, but as a warning, not a victory. Balloonfest '86 became a cautionary tale of ambition gone awry. The city's dreams had soared, only to come crashing down. The lesson endures. Even the best intentions can have unforeseen, devastating consequences. Cleveland's sky full of dreams became a legacy written in tragedy.